Hey, hello everyone. Welcome back to another training session on SAP CPI. And today we will see how SAP CPI will integrate with ChatGPT. Okay, let's get started. And if you are not subscribed yet, please subscribe to my channel Easy Learning with SAP CPI. So first, let's see what are the APIs are available in ChatGPT and how can we consume those APIs into SAP CPI. First, we need to use the http platform.openai.com URL to register. Okay, once you register, then you can able to see the screen. Okay, so what you need to do here is you just use this standard URL. Then you can either sign up with your Google account or you can also create your account here. Okay, if you have already Gmail, then you can use the Gmail. Okay, and you can use the Gmail and username and password to sign in for openai.com. Okay, so once you are done with that, then you can able to log into the screen, and here you can go to the personal, and here you can see view API keys. Okay, so where you can able to create your API key for your APIs. So here you can see there is an option called as create new secret key. You just click on create new secret key and give any name here and click on create secret key. So once you click on create secret key, it will generate a key like this. Okay, so I'll just show you how the key will look like. So this is how the key will look like. Okay, so we need to use this key to authenticate the APIs that available in ChatGPT. So we can see what are the APIs are available. So you can click on API reference to see all these APIs. So we have a lot of APIs are available here. So you can see. So today we will see one of these APIs. So you can see there is the edit API. So this is the API URL. Now what is the use of this API? If you see, there is a model, input, instructions are the three inputs. So model, input and instruction. So now if you see here, the input is this and the instruction is this. Now what this API will do here is if there is any spelling mistakes or anything, then you need to pass the instruction fix the spelling mistakes. Then this API will give you the proper output like this. So this is how the chat GPT works. You need to provide some instruction, then it will work on that based on your input and it will give you the output. So we will see the same API how it works in with the CPI. So before we do this exercise in the CPI, we'll do this setup into the Postman. Later we can do the same setup into the CPI. So I'll just copy this Postman curl URL and all this information, and we can directly save this into the file. So I'm just saving into this file, and you can save this file with postman.collection extension. So if you see here, you can click on save as, then you can give the file name with .postman underscore collection. So you just click on save, then this collection will be saved. Then you just go to the Postman. So this is the Postman. So we need to use this Postman for our testing purpose. So you can click on import and import the Postman collection that we saved on the desktop. So this is the Postman collection. Just click on import. So you can see we have the edits API having the body. You can see model, input and instructions. Okay, so this is the API. Now I already used this API somewhere. Okay, now we will use the same. It's a edit API, and we need to also provide the authentication it is the token based authentication, then you just provide the token that you got. So we'll just click on send. So this API, you can see it's giving the response 429, which is it is not able to accept too many requests. So we will try with the another API that we have. So I have another API which removes the leading zeros. So here I'll give the input as 002 something like this, and the instruction is remove leading zeros. Remove leading zeros. So I'll send this. So it is giving unauthorized error. So I'll go to the authorization and I'll give the bearer token. Now I will send the request. So the quota is exceeded. So now if you see this, we have this edits API and we are passing this input and we are giving the instruction remove leading zeros. So I'll click on send. So you can see we got the response which removes all these zeros. It means it removes the leading zeros and it gives only the 8721 as out. So we will try the same with CPI and we'll see how we need to use this API into the CPI and how to pass the authentication into the CPI. So before we'll go to the CPI, first we will see what is the request that going to the Open API. AI, it means ChatGPT. Okay, so I'll just use the request catch URL. So this is the request catch URL which catch all the requests that we can send from a postman. So I can use this URL here. So now I'll use this URL and if I'll send the request, so this request will go to this URL. So you can see now one request received here and with these are the inputs, and if we send these inputs to this API, then it will send back the response. So we need to send all this information to this API. Okay, so now we will use the same information in CPI, and there are two parameters which are mandatory. One is authorization and second one is content type. So we need to use both authorization and then content type in SAP CPI. So now let's go to the CPI and we'll create a simple iFlow. So I'll create this iFlow here, chart GPT CPI edits demo. Okay, I just created this. So I'll go to this flow and we will just add all the information required. So to log the input request that we are sending from the postman, I'll use this content modifier to log the input request, log input request, and we log the request in the body by using the standard expression dollar in dot body. Then once the request is reached to the CPI, then we need to use few headers as we discussed. So I will use two headers. So we can also see these two headers or the mandatory headers. So I'll use these two headers here in the CPI. So we will create header which is the authorization, and I'll give this bearer token. till here. So you just copy paste, and also we need to provide the content type. So copy the content type, because we are getting the data in the format of JSON. Now we need to format the body in the format of JSON. So I'll use application slash JSON, the content type. Now whatever the request we received, we format it into the JSON format. Then, so here I'll give the content modifier name as initialize header parameters. Okay, so this is we used to initialize the header parameters. Next, I'll use the request reply to post the data into a API, and then we will get back the response. So this is the request reply. So I'll use the HTTP adapter to connect to the API. So this receiver system, I'll give it as ChatGPT. So now we will do the configuration, adapter configurations, go to the connections, then copy this API. So use the same API, and the method is, you can see it's a post method. So use the post method, and it is, there is a no authentication. It is a header based authentication. So that's why you just mention here none. And here you need to allow the headers. So you can, if you have the specific headers, then you can mention the header name with the pipe separator. And if you want to allow all the headers, you just mention star. Okay. Now this is the input that we passed in CPI. So now this request reply name, I'll give it as get response from ChatGPT. So now I will use the HTTP adapter. This will send the request from Postman slash ChatGPT CPI demo. So I'll just copy the same URL and I'll deploy. So now the process will be deployed. So even I'll enable the logs. So now the process is started. Now I will trigger this process from Postman. So we have the CPI URL. So we can also get the URL from monitoring. You just go to monitoring. So you can see, you just copy this URL and go to the new request. Okay, then go to authorization, give the CPI username and password here. And if you don't have username and password, then get the client ID and client secret from cockpit. Then go to body, raw, and JSON. So we need to give the JSON input. So now I'll take the JSON data from the request. So we already have the request, and we will use the same request body. So even I can take the input from. So now we will use this input, which is the model, and input is 0000123 and instruction is remove leading zeros. So we will send this request and we got the response by removing these leading zeros. So now let's go to the CPI and we'll see the messages and we got the response. So if we see the response, so we have the text which gives the output. So I don't want to now send complete response back to the postman. I want to send only this response. So now I will just extract this field by using content modifier. So first I'll use the converter. So I need to convert this into the XML. Then I can use the content modifier and I'll store in the property by using the XPath. So I'll use the property. So giving the XPath / text. So even I'll give the name as text and the data type is java.lang.string. So now I'll use this text in the body by giving the dollar property dot text. So now this I'll mention as initialize response text. So now I will deploy this. So it got processed. So now if I send the response request, then I got only this response. So now here I'll send some other input. Now I should receive only this output. It removes these leading zeros. Okay, so this is how the chat GPT we can integrate with CPI, and here you can send multiple formats. So now I'll send some special characters. Okay, and you can also use remove special characters. So we can use remove special characters instruction from string. So you can see it removes the special characters and it will just give you the content. So this is how you can give the input and pass your instruction. And here also in CPI, you can able to see these messages and you can see the output. So this is how the output. Now from out of all this, we are just extracting the text value. So this is very easy process, and this is how the chat GPT can be integrated with CPI. And you can say goodbye to UDF and you can use these APIs whenever you have this requirement. Thank you all. Thanks for the time and we'll see you on the next class. And if you are not subscribed, please subscribe to my channel Easy Learning with SAP CPI.